Hey everyone, welcome. Let's jump right into today's explainer and discover how our individual, daily choices actually ripple out to shape the destiny of an entire nation. Today we're looking at a fascinating set of texts that break down the exact anatomy of a society. We're going to explore how personal behaviors, our digital habits, major systemic threats, and grand national visions all interlock like a giant puzzle. Before we tackle the heavy stuff, like massive systemic issues, infrastructure, or global warming, we really have to ask ourselves how the foundation of a society is actually built from the ground up. It's so easy to just look at a map or a towering city skyline and think, okay, that's what makes a country. But as the source material reveals, the true mortar holding the bricks together is actually found in our daily routines and our moral choices. To get to the bottom of this, we're going to follow a micro to macro roadmap. We'll start with the power of personal habits, move on to the digital double-edged sword, tackle overcoming deep social menaces, look at infrastructure and environmental threats, and finally, wrap up with a vision for our homeland. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the power of personal habits. So our source texts start with a pretty profound truth. Time and tide wait for no man. The value of time is immense, really incomparable, because time, once lost, is just lost forever. Nature itself teaches us this value through perfectly scheduled sunrises and the changing of the seasons. Time flows continuously, and it completely ignores whether you're rich or poor, strong or weak. It is the ultimate equalizer. And the texts draw a super stark contrast here between folks who unlock their potential and, well, those who don't. Think of a successful student. They use punctuality as their secret weapon, they prepare lessons regularly, and they absolutely never postpone today's work for tomorrow. On the flip side, we have the greatest enemies of progress, laziness and procrastination. Those who idle away their time in useless activities are ultimately going to find themselves lagging way behind in the competitive race of life, basically sinking into lifelong regret. Now, beyond just managing our time, how we treat each other is like a magic key. The sources really emphasize that good manners, things like using polite expressions such as please and excuse me, respecting our elders, and helping those in distress, cost absolutely nothing, but open doors and win hearts. Whether it's offering a seat to an elderly person on a crowded bus or simply listening without interrupting, these are the everyday actions that actually build a harmonious society. Bad manners, on the other hand, just create misunderstandings and destroy that harmony. Moving right along to Section 2, the digital double-edged sword. We really have to ask ourselves, is Facebook, which has basically been an inseparable part of daily life since it launched back in 2004, actually serving our future, or is it holding us back? I mean, it has completely revolutionized global communication for sure, but for millions of people, especially the younger generation, it presents a massive dilemma. It's really all about balance. On one hand, it's an incredible hub for digital entrepreneurship, instantly connecting families across the globe and offering some brilliant educational pages and tutorials. But if it goes unchecked, students can spend hours just scrolling, completely wasting valuable time. And the texts point out that this leads directly to internet addiction, severe sleep deprivation, eye strain, and exposes users to alarming issues like fake news and cyberbullying. The ultimate takeaway from the source is, setting strict time limits is absolutely essential so it remains a useful tool and not a destroyer of your future. Next up, Section 3. Overcoming deep social menaces. Now, I want you to notice the really vivid imagery used in the source text here. They don't just refer to corruption as a crime. They literally call it a cancer and a venomous vine. It is a curse that paralyzes administrative and economic systems, and it explicitly exploits the vulnerable poor just to make the rich richer. All while unqualified individuals manage to secure vital positions, completely ignoring actual merit. And this cancer takes a lot of different forms. We're talking bribery, embezzlement, nepotism, money laundering, and tax evasion. When corruption infiltrates the public sector, it totally hampers national development and shatters public trust. To eradicate this, the texts advocate for a multidimensional approach. That means establishing an impartial rule of law where your status doesn't protect you, ensuring transparent governance through modern technology, and crucially, instilling solid moral and ethical education in kids right from an early age. Similarly, there's a tragic pipeline for youth falling into drug addiction. Whether it's heroin, yaba, cannabis, or alcohol, it often starts out simply as curiosity or maybe frustration over unemployment or falling in with a bad crowd. But that momentary escape quickly turns into a fierce physical and psychological dependency. To support a really expensive habit, addicts often turn to heinous crimes like mugging and violence, ultimately leading to organ failure and premature ruin. The solution outlined here requires strict laws against traffickers, sure, but also strong family bonding, along with crucial medical treatment and psychological counseling to help rehabilitate the victims. Zooming out even further, let's look at Section 4, Infrastructure and Environmental Threats. It's pretty alarming, but human recklessness is severely polluting the four vital elements of our environment. We've got factories and unfit vehicles pumping thick black smoke right into the air. We've got toxic industrial waste being dumped directly into our rivers. Our soil is literally choking on non-biodegradable plastics and chemical pesticides. And on top of all that, our hearing and mental health are constantly under attack by intense sound pollution from hydraulic horns and loud microphones. The terrifying results of all this: global warming, melting ice caps, deadly cyclones, and a spike in severe respiratory and waterborne diseases. And all of this directly ties into massive systemic infrastructure challenges, specifically load shedding, which is the intentional suspension of electricity. The sources cleanly contrast the systemic causes of this with its deeply disruptive impacts. Due to rapid population growth, heavy reliance on imported fuel, and corruption within the power sector itself, the grid just pales, and the impacts are devastating. Students can't study at night, hospitals face life-threatening challenges during crucial surgeries, industrial production grinds to a halt, causing massive financial loss, and intense heat just makes life miserable, especially for children and the elderly. So, solving this persistent energy crisis isn't going to be a quick fix. It requires really decisive, long-term government action to build new plants that utilize specific alternative and renewable sources. We're talking solar, wind, and nuclear power. Bridging that energy gap permanently also means taking strict, uncompromising measures against illegal connections and system losses. Which brings us to our final stop, Section 5, Vision for Our Homeland. The resilience of this sovereign South Asian nation is just incredible. The texts take us on a journey starting back in 1971, where millions of brave martyrs shed their blood in a 9-month liberation war. Moving to the present day, despite facing huge challenges like overpopulation and devastating floods, the warm-hearted and hard-working people are driving remarkable progress in the ready-made garments industry, in technology, and in women's empowerment. The trajectory is set firmly toward becoming a deeply peaceful and advanced nation. And this dynamically changing climate completely nurtures the country's exceptionally charming geography. Bangladesh boasts a tropical climate characterized by 6 distinct seasons. This unique weather pattern breathes life into a landscape full of swaying paddy fields, the world's largest mangrove forest in the Sundarbans, the breathtaking green tea gardens of Sylhet, and the longest unbroken sea beach in the world down at Cox's Bazar. So, bringing it all together, we've seen how the massive macro success of a country is completely tied to the everyday micro habits of its people. Knowing that everything from your personal punctuality and good manners to how you manage your screen time, all the way to your awareness of environmental pollution, directly shapes the future, how are you going to use these insights? What single choice will you make today to propel your own life, and by extension your homeland, forward? Think about it. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.